The Atari VCS is hitting store shelves soon. The game that keeps on giving, No Man's Sky, gets a sleek new update. And PlayStation showed off a bunch of sweet-looking VR games to look forward to. All that and the latest and everything cool today in The Rundown. Hey, welcome to The Rundown. My name is Victor Lucas, and it is my pleasure to bring you the latest and everything cool. This is a very fun gig that I get to do, and it's because of you. Thank you so much. It's also because of our friends at the Gaming Stadium. They are Canada's leader in online esports tournament facilitation. They've got tournaments happening every weekend, and you don't want to miss out on any of the action. You can join up with them at tgs.gg. We've also got somebody else in the crowd that we need to dedicate this one to, and it is, well, and apart from my buddy Kane Grad, who sent me the Invincible Iron Man to check out for side-scrolling superheroes, so stay tuned. There will be a review of this very soon. I've also got somebody else to dedicate it to. His name is, I'm assuming it's a he, it's Tay Rock. And they said, I just want Spyro 4 if it is happening. I hope they don't make it impossible to complete like they did with Crash 4. There's some honesty. I love it, man. Crash 4 is a very, very hard game. And of course, everybody's got some hopes and dreams and expectations. I noticed somebody else, I think it was Lee Bonar, said on one of the comments there saying, it's Christmas in June. It kind of feels like that. There's new stuff happening. But I have to be honest, it's a little bit slower right now. It's sort of the calm before the storm, but you know, because obviously all of the big announcements are going to start happening next week. But I did find some fun stuff to talk about today. Let's get started with the rundown. You may have noticed that Atari is in the news on the internet today, and that is because their long in development Atari VCS console, this video clip here is actually from 2016. This one's a little bit more recent, but this is something that was kickstarted. It was brought out sort of publicly crowdfunded. It was built on a lot of, nostalgic hopes and dreams and a lot of connection with the community out there. It's supposed to be an all-in-one console experience. So we'll play classic games that you can download, you can stream, you can outfit it like a PC that's tethered to your computer, and a lot of interesting people have been working with this for a very, very long time, and hopefully this is going to turn out to be a pretty slick little machine. It certainly looks cool. I'm of the Atari generation, and I remember how much the Atari 2600 meant when it first came out, so I am actually excited to get one of these in and to give it a proper workout. I definitely want to try it. I want to try some of the software. One of the things that they have, and I've got a little bit of an example here, they have the Vault, where you can dive into the classic library of Atari and play classic games like Centipede, and you saw Asteroids in there, and Black Widow, and they also outfitted the machine with kind of a retro-style joystick, which is kind of cool. It also has like a built-in paddle for a lot of the paddle-centric games. You know, a lot of this stuff is incredibly rudimentary and primitive looking now, but, you know, back in the day, that's all we got, you know. But even back then, you know, for a lot of lifers out there like me that have been playing games forever, those games with the tiny blocks and little tiny pixels and the super janky looking little human beings were enough to just inflame our imaginations and make us sort of see beyond the screen and see beyond this really simple looking pixelated art and understand how clever these designers were and sort of get into the value of these experiences. And that continued and got better and better with Atari as part of the ingredients in there. So, of course I have a soft spot in my heart for the Atari brand. I also recognize that this is a very different Atari than we have seen over the years. There's been a lot of different, people running the show, the brand and the IP and the trademarks have been sold to lots of different people, and it's been scattered all over the place. And I think that has kind of cheapened this whole endeavor, to bring this machine out. But I hope that, I will always hope that Atari can turn it around and be a company that can convince us to care about them as a modern video game system or a modern video game purveyor. It's amazing to me still to see like Blade Runner 2049 and to see that a classic old Atari logo out there. And it's also been surreal for me to meet with lots of people over the years that have come from Atari or used to work at Atari. Of course, we've interviewed Nolan Bushnell a bunch of times, and he's an interesting, wonderful human being that helped to really kickstart this industry, this entire industry, and stoke the fires for our fascination with it. So I do have good wishes for Atari. I've requested a review unit. I don't know if I'm getting one. I don't know when I'm getting one. But as soon as I do, I'll make a whole bunch of content on the channel. I'll unbox it. We'll dive into it together. We'll stream some. We'll play it. And then I'll give you my honest thoughts on the experience. But the Atari VCS is going to be available at retailers like Best Buy and GameStop and all kinds of other places as soon as June 15th. So right when we're in the madness of E3 and the Summer Games Fest is when you're going to actually start seeing the Atari VCS show up in stores, which is kind of surreal, isn't it? It's finally going to be out there in the wild. All right, something else that is kind of surreal is Hello Games' commitment to No Man's Sky. What's available right now is a new upgrade for No Man's Sky, if you can believe it. It's called Prisms, and it adds all kinds of interesting new elements to the game, like more enhanced biomes, better lighting. It's really meant to kind of showcase the horsepower of the modern systems, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. You can jump onto creatures and ride them and fly them. You can have them as your pets, and they will follow you around. There's better weather effects in there. There's fur on the critters and the creatures. The foliage looks amazing. There's different types of spaceships. And, of course, we've heard that the Normandy from Mass Effect has appeared in No Man's Sky. I have re-downloaded this game, I think, about 10 times since it first came out. I just popped it onto the PlayStation 5, and so you can expect me to stream a little bit of this very soon. I want to get into it again because this is a game where you can't just jump in and suddenly, you're making a trailer with it. You have to play it for a while before you can cruise around and see all of the reflective lighting and all of the gorgeousness. But this just looks incredible, man. This looks like 5 sequels later to the launch version of what was released on No Man's Sky. I am so impressed by the stick-to-itness of Hello Games. They just really didn't let any of the negativity deter them. They took it in. They acknowledged that people were dissatisfied with a lot of the stuff that was happening around the launch of No Man's Sky, and they just went back to work, and they have just improved and improved and improved the experience. Now it's like, it's intimidating how much new stuff is in the game, but how much you can do and how long it will take to get the most out of it. So I'm intimidated, but I'm incredibly intrigued, and I want to play it very soon. So congrats to every No Man's Sky fan out there, but most especially congrats to Hello Games. We also got some news on some new PlayStation VR games that are coming very soon. Now, these are titles that are going to be available for the current PlayStation VR. There's nothing showing off anything for the PlayStation VR that's headed to the PlayStation 5. We may get a little tease of that throughout the summer, but this stuff is all going to run on the PS4, PS4 Pro, and then if you've got a dongle, you can connect the camera to your PlayStation 5, the classic camera, and play titles like The Wanderer here is what we're looking at here, which has got kind of like a detective mystery-solving kind of vibe, picking up objects. I mean, this is the thing. You're placed into these environments. There's a little bit of a dystopia sci-fi kind of experience in here, but there's also, traipsing through time, lots of different puzzles that you have to solve. It looks incredibly trippy, and, it looks very sleek. It looks like it's been designed with... What I'm digging about VR now is that there is like another generation to the way that VR content is made, and this one, clearly you're going to have all kinds of mind-bending experiences. This one's called Wanderer. A game that we took a look at not too long ago from the Oculus presentation is a title called Fract, which has a little bit of a spy kind of vibe to it. It reminds me a little bit of missions that you might go out on in GoldenEye. It definitely has this retro shooter kind of aesthetic, sense of humor to it. There's lots of crazy explosions and lots of procedurally generated, insanity based on the physics of the game, which is pretty cool. I forget the name of the developer here, but this is a developer that's had a bit of, a few kicks at the can of making some pretty fun VR experiences. So they're going to do a good job with this one, I think. It's called Fract. And it is coming out to the PC version, to the PC VR systems out there, and I think it's also going to be on Oculus Quest as well, but you'll be able to play it on the PlayStation VR pretty soon as well. If you're looking for something a little bit more zen, there's this Winds and Leaves game, which again, I think is about puzzle solving, but it's very atmospheric and very soothing, and the music is very trippy, and you're doing a little bit of crafting and walking around, and definitely doing some puzzle solving and dealing with the environmental kind of challenges that are going to be in front of you, and sort of getting lost in the sort of sumptuous surround sound kind of quality of the experience. I hope this one's cool. It looks very, it doesn't look super crazy detailed or super hyper sophisticated compared to a lot of the best stuff that's out there in VR. But sometimes these things can just entrance you and you can get lost in it. I mean, you can plant grass if you want. You can grow things in this game. I think this is, go and live your life in Winds and Leaves. Puzzle Bobble is making a return to video game systems in VR. This is Puzzle Bobble 3D Vacation Odyssey. This is a classic, puzzle experience that was in the arcades, and there's been Puzzle Bobble games on pretty much every platform. I'm sure there is an Apple Watch Puzzle Bobble experience at this point. It's physics based. You're trying to make the similar color objects disappear, but now you've got this extra kind of sort of dimension here where you can move things around in 3D. So that one looks like it could be a little bit of fun. I dig the games that are, clearly pulling from the past and using a lot of core, well-implemented game concepts and systems, but then switching everything around so you put the VR headset on and get lost in it in a new way. This one looks like a lot of fun. It's called Arashi, and I think it's Castle of Sin is the subtitle. And in this one, you are a sword-wielding, looks like an ancient samurai-type character, and you've got this wolf companion with you. You can actually pet the wolf, which is pretty cool. Reminds me a little bit of playing something like Ghost of Tsushima in first person or from a VR kind of perspective. And I believe that this one is exclusive to PlayStation as well. I don't think that this is coming to the other platforms, but it certainly has, it's riding on the coattails of how much love there is for Ghost of Tsushima out there, which is cool. I mean, the whole idea here seems pretty rad. I mean, you're going to be using bow and arrow and grappling hooks and having a wolf companion that you can send out to attack your enemies. Seems pretty cool to me. That one is called Arashi, and I think it's Castle of Sin, if I'm not mistaken. Here comes the title right there. Yeah, Castle of Sin. That one looks really fun. And then we've got one from Vertigo Games. It's called After the Fall. These guys made the Arizona zombie game not too long ago, and they successfully updated it and improved it and tweaked it. Now they've got this After the Fall game coming up, which takes place in a frozen Los Angeles. I like that they had the developers out there kind of explaining what the whole idea is. But this is, obviously the fall, another dystopian nightmare. Zombies are out there. It's frozen LA, which seems kind of crazy. But lots of different gadgets and weapons and enemies to take care of, and it's going to be bloody and gory and cooperative, which is kind of cool. A little bit of a Left 4 Dead kind of vibe to it. I just hope that it's fun. I mean, the gameplay doesn't look super fast-paced, but then again, you don't want to be too fast-paced that you barf in your headset either, right? That's the challenge with VR. You want to have just enough tension and just enough speed that it is incredibly, engrossing and transportive, but then you don't want to hurl because you're being shooken up by your video game experience too much. It does look pretty damn impressive, though. They have a lot of zombies coming after you. That one is called After the Fall, and pretty good showing. I also think that it's pretty cool that PlayStation is kind of sneaking these little bits of information in just before all of the hype train really starts to to take off with all the stuff that's coming up our way over the next 2 weeks or so. But if you're a PlayStation VR fan, you've been hungry for some new titles, there's a bunch for you right there. There's half a dozen. I've got a couple other quick things I want to tell you about. Today, Warner Brothers released the trailer for Reminiscence, which stars Hugh Jackman and Rebecca Ferguson. These two have incredible chemistry, as anybody that's seen The Greatest Showman will recall. This is a movie that is a sci-fi kind of feature. It's also a dystopian kind of setting that we're in, where we've got Hugh Jackman is kind of this private investigator that can go into people's memories and go back in time, and he tries to reacquaint himself with somebody that he really cares about. We see a flooded city at the beginning. I think this is Miami at the beginning, but it looks really cool. It's directed by Lisa Joy, who is one of the co-creators of the Westworld television show from HBO, which I'm a big fan of. Some excellent work in that show. And Thandue Newton is also in the cast. There is a pretty cool eclectic cast in this film. And I'm just such a big fan of Hugh Jackman and now of Rebecca Ferguson, who's also excellent in the Mission Impossible movies. So I'm all in on this. I like this kind of Minority Report, Matrix, Dark City kind of aesthetic to all of this. It's very creepy looking, but it also feels like we're on the cusp of devices like this. I think Gabe Newell is trying to invent something that's going to tap directly into our minds so that we can play with video games that way. And you know what? I think this could be a tremendous amount of fun, and it can also kind of twist our minds a little bit. You're going to be able to look back and see crimes in people's memories and stuff. It looks pretty damn rad to me. And it is not just a cerebral experience as well. There's some pretty cool action in the movie. It looks like, anyways. But we don't have long to wait. This one is going to be out in theaters, and it's also, I think, with HBO Max. This is part of their strategy to release movies in theaters and through the HBO Max service at the same time. And that comes out on August 20th. But who knows if it's going to be the same in Canada, because the rules are different everywhere. So you got to check your territory depending on where you are in the world. But that one is called Reminiscence, and it's coming out soon. All right, I've got one quick thing to tell you about here, and this is from Edmund McMillan, the creator of Binding of Isaac. He shot me out a direct message to let me know that his Kickstarter is going crazy. This is for the Binding of Isaac Four Souls Requiem. This is the board game. They asked for, I think, $120K, and they're at 4.5 million. They're probably more than that now, because I recorded this stuff this morning. But there are tons of perks with this. He's very, very savvy with what people are looking for with Kickstarter. He's even up front in the video talking about, people think that it's he's a one-trick pony, but it's a great trick. And so he keeps bringing out stuff around the Binding of Isaac. Clearly, there are many, many, many fans for this world building that Edmund has done, and the Isaac franchise. You can get all kinds of plushies and toys, and there's new cards and stretch goals. And so if you haven't already contributed to the Kickstarter and you happen to be a big Binding of Isaac fan, there you go. There's some info on that, but it is well funded, and there is a new Binding of Isaac experience headed our way very soon. All right, you guys, that's going to do it for the rundown today. I'll be back again tomorrow with a fresh rundown for you, so please come back for that. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you especially to all of our subscribers and to our EPN members. You guys rock. We'll see you soon, and until then, play forever.